And there we see the bands. No Soviet self-damn it.
It is going on. The match of the Titans here. And it is US Frontline from JKING versus Jaggro from BERTO. So from the facial expressions we cannot really read anything if the players are happy what they queued into here. BERTO actually looking not too happy, but I think he's just thinking a lot here. And JKING found the Greyhound. Very important against Jaggro actually.
And going first, right?
Yeah.
So even if he drops it and, you know, BERTO finds a 15th cav, pushes in the front line, turn 2, JKING can trade that and take the front line again.
So what BERTO needs is exactly what he's having in hand. 15th cavalry plus Befehlswagen. He just found it. What a good mulligan. So we did actually not see, unfortunately, if he had one of those options already in hand or if he just found both out of the deck. But this is such a big advantage for BERTO now, having 2 units, just like you said. Otherwise JKING could have just traded the 15th cavalry away, go to the front line, and it would have been way harder for BERTO to reconquer. Although he's not really fully relying on having the front line, as JKING is doing, but you want to have the chip damage early on against US front line with Jaggro.
Yeah, but talking about huge draws, what a massive top deck there for JKING, finding the 32nd to get that second unit established on the board for 1 credit. Would have been a tricky spot if he was only, you know, let's say he draws his second, we can do it there, right? What is he going to do until turn 4? It's going to be, you know, pretty difficult, but finds the 32nd, is able to get rid of the 15th cav, establish his own 2-attack unit to counter that Befehlswagen. Now the question is, does BURRITO want to rip an early, you know, desperate measures or something like that? I don't think so. He just wants to take the trades and slowly but surely establish his board presence.
That Greyhound was at 3 health, right?
Yes.
He did not.
No. It was at 1 because it was used to trade the 15th cap.
So that was actually very interesting. Maybe you
just went 2 for 1 on the Befehlswagen.
So I think with the he wanted to protect the Type 93 with it, because otherwise JKING could have just traded 32nd into it, and this could have gone for the Type 93. I just wonder why he did not reface there, although he had desperate measures on hand, which would have killed any unit on the board at this stage. But yeah, I think it was a case of
the on-curve could be a pretty scary prospect here.
Yeah, it's also a double-edged sword, right? Like if you drop it here and your opponent is playing a swordfish, a half-track, you kind of lose a lot of tempo. I'm not sure if you can afford to do this. I think we just might see an Aradu. It is actually very tricky. I think he kind of has to go for the key here, just to establish a big body on board and just hope that JKING is not having a half-track, which he actually is not having.
Oh, but the Blitzkrieg comes out. He does not have enough credits to use it though.
It's 1 credit off WWII into Blitzkrieg. Also good from BERTO that he established the key now, because WWII is another threat that if it's in the front line, your key is kind of useless for 1 turn.
But I think JKING's feeling all right here, because he knows that because he has the double Blitzkrieg, he could potentially just rip the Blitzkrieg next turn. Oh, can't anymore. Desperate measures thwarts that plan.
There was a lot of value out of the desperate measures. Now it's the question. You don't want to do 6 days. Let that Skytrain live there. You have 2 bodies on the board. One of them is Fury. Skytrain is just popping a unit that JKING cannot operate this turn.
JKING's dead in 2 turns if he doesn't deal with that key, and there's no immediate way for him to deal with that key.
Also, besides the we can do it, he's not having any healing in the deck. So once BERTO finds Shiden, a Signal Regiment, it can be a fast ending here for JKING in the first match. But actually, he can clear the front line here, but that key is still a huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's all infantry.
Also Shinodo, and he fought a Signal Regiment.
Dive bombing allows him to at least take the key threat off the board for a turn. 101st Airborne and strategic bombing will get rid of the key from the backline. So if he's able to start establishing a good frontline presence here, that might be enough for him to claw himself back into this game. But he's going to be at a pretty difficult spot for a while now.
What can BERTO do? It could be good to go Aradu first, but then he's probably missing some damage there. could have go 35 signal regiment, 35 P, and first of all arrow do just to find the bombing rate for an additional 3 damage.
You just use signal 35P and then hit face with the key 35P. Deal 8 damage, put him down to 4.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He needs to operate the key additionally. Exactly. Down to 4.
Then you can still play the Aru next turn, find the bombing rate.
Absolutely. And also that signal regiment is just, even if JKING is killing both units now, he's down to 2. And that Aradu is a 50% chance actually to find the bombing rate, because there are only 2 orders left in the deck. It's the Feint Retreat, or as we also call it, Frightened Retreat, and the and the bombing rate. So BERTO in a really, really good spot. JKING has to weaken do it, but this is only healing him back to 7, which would be actually easy on board for BERTO.
No, so he's a dive bombing the key, and then we can do it, and then operate his units, right?
They really have to play dive bombing on the key, there's no other option.
He's gonna have to sack the 5th Rangers into the 35P, and
so he does not know, but he needs to play the weaken do it. Or no, he can operate units to the front.
Yes. He can,
one of those units goes to the front line.
Exactly.
It's a nuclear device.
Receiving 1 more damage.
Time is running out.
Okay.
Time is running out.
That works.
Ah, yeah, those unit, or this unit is just dealing 1 additional damage to the unit in the same front half.
Loses the half track.
Overdrawn. Doodle-doo. What are these nice emotes? I've never seen them before. JKING has the best emotes. Okay, double type would be 2 damage to the face. Yeah, this ranger in the front line kind of be a problem here for BERTO. Setting the attack from the key to 0 is not really what BERTO needs at this point. JKING's hand is kind of full of useful stuff here. But he needs to find a way to get rid of the signal.
He needs to find a second reason to it. That's the big thing. He does have strategic bombing. To eventually get rid of, to go far in getting rid of it. Maximizes the face damage there.
3 Hellcat overdrawn. Now that key is back to 8 attack. JKING far away. Is he having blitzkrieg? Is there any way he's winning here with the Greyhound? Oh no, he's only having 1 unit in the front line. This is not really. So he has to kill the key.
That's what.
How is he getting rid of the signal regiment? This is why I prefer at least 1 Flampanzer, just how BERTO is having it in his list, just to have that 1 option that you can top deck to get rid of the stuff like signal. Like, he needs to invest the 101st Airborne and the Strat bombing into this just to kill 1 that costs BERTO 1 threat. Because this is the biggest threat. I mean, sure, the key 83 can just bypass the front line, but he should not. Otherwise, he doesn't really need to care about the Type 93s. But with signal regiment, even those 1 drops that cannot reach HQ are a big threat, because if they die, it's just 1 additional.
JKING's gonna run out of time here, and you know everything that he can potentially do here is not good enough, right? This takes him down to 2, just sacrificing those 2 Type 93s in the front line.
Guaranteed bombing rate draw now for BERTO.
Yeah, and there it is, the bombing raid found off the top. Sitting on the Feint Retreat as well, and you could see JKING was not about to give up. He was going to play this out until the final US. Okay, it's the mirror matchup, and I think this one's going to be interesting because there are slightly different takes on the US frontline deck here.
Yeah, one of them, just as we saw earlier from JKING, or in the first match, he's playing with the Blitzkrieg. BERTO is playing with Island Popping and Flampanzer in it. And it could just come down to those tech choices here, who's winning or losing the series, or this match now.
So that was not a good mulligan for BERTO at all. No 30-second, no Red Devils, no 1 drops, right? And he knows. This is going to be a tough match for BERTO.
But look how he's laughing. I mean, I just like the attitude of those guys. It looks like they're just having some friendly matches here,
99th Infantry off the top. further buffing that 30-second and allows JKING to deliver 5 damage to face here if he wants.
No. PIR. He's just developing his board, bouncing the PIR, making it even more annoying for BERTO to just come back here, or even harder. Because now he just has to replay it again, or has to tell him to play Sky Trainers, which would not be the best option here. He could just go PIR again, but then look what we have in JKING7 here, just another half track. And when we see that, he's just delivering the first face damage to BERTO. And yeah, this start was really rough here for the BURRITO.
Rough is, I think, an understatement. And I mean, the next couple of draws also not great. Finding a Sherman and the research, that's not helping you as much. You know, if he was able to pull, opting for the depth charges here, staving off some face damage, I think that's a little bit weird because the amount of...
No, I think it's not about saving in HP damage here. It's about gaining the credits. He wants to have, like, his hand is kind of, yeah, he can play one unit at one time, and I think he wants to get he wants to get the Sherman, he wants to get the we can do it on it, a potential Hellcat. I think this is what the death shot is for, not just for saving in 3 damage here. That would have made no sense, it would have been way better later on. Just for the deciding to drop 2 units now, and from the Sky Train another one. Actually a good one.
Yeah, looking to probably get as many units on the board as he can to be able to start mounting his defense.
Yeah, just like we saw yesterday from Bamboo. He decided to go to the front line, over developing a board while his opponent was on the front foot there, and that did not really pay out. You want to have bodies on the board that you can trade into the frontline units from your opponent, and after that you want to regain the front line. You don't want to get 1 unit to the front line and then your opponent is pushing stuff back. Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Red Devils here, a great pickup from BURRITO. At least gives him a 1 credit Blitz unit to get rid of some of the stuff on board. He could theoretically both blitz out the Red Devils and the Hellcat and trade out multiple units.
Always painful to trade a Hellcat into a 1 HP unit,
Exactly.
but I think at some point he is forced.
Because I mean, there's 13 damage sitting in the front line right now. With the
And the potential blitzkrieg, so you cannot let this front line uncontested. You really have to get rid of it.
Oh, he rolls the dice.
Balls move here.
Pulls up the blanket. He wants to hide from his decision. He's going like, no, Blitzkrieg, please.
Blitzkrieg would be illegal, right?
Yep.
Oh, it's 22 damage.
I mean, with the...
Yeah, it's 22.
Yeah, 22. No, with the Panzer 35T as well, that would be easy.
Yeah, but BERTO did not see it, so he just did a very brave move here, deciding to play the long-term move over the short-term, because if JKING, he was just thinking, if JKING has Blitzkrieg here, I'm dead anyway.
Yeah.
So I have to take a little risk here, hope that he's not having it, develop my server board where I can just come back from later, and this is why he did a move here. So far it paid out, but still a lot of stuff to just remove from the front end.
Oh, the medical battalion giving the PIR that 1 attack it needed to trade out 1 of the units, but with the 35T damage, this is going to be enough. And JKING, really quick victory here. 7 turns in game number. Stick into that, and it looks like that's going to be Japan. But BERTO switching it up.
BERTO queuing Grid Air into Jaguar. JKING, not too happy about that, but found the Befehlswagen. Now he only needs... Okay, he found the Type 94, but BERTO with a monster starting hand here. 3-1 threaded fighters. One of them is a bomber.
He played a gladiator, right? Because of the fact that he played a tank first that is able to go up and deal damage, you play the gladiator to be able to return damage over the swordfish, which will just absorb the 1 damage that turn, right?
I'm not really sure. I mean, you probably do it if your opponent showed an infantry unit, like the 15th cavalry to the front line, then you always play the gladiators, because there's a very high chance that it's a 35P follow-up, and then you can at least get rid of the 15 cavalry. In this case, I think the bomber is a little bit better, because sure, he's receiving 1 damage now, but he can trade the Type 94 for free, he can develop more gladiators into it, and
The bomber's gonna get traded for free now.
if the gladiator would also die. Sure, it deals 1 damage.
It's a tough one. It's
I
one
mean,
of
you
those.
cannot trade it for free, you can just drop the Albacore on the Befehlswagen and then there's still 2 bombers on the board.
That's true.
But Berto decides to take coin flip decision here, and sacrificing the sword flip or receiving face damage, and there's the 35p. Unfortunately for JKING, lost his infantry.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a turn where we see him operate 3 units. Takes the free trade onto the bomber there, because you do not want to leave bombers unchecked on the field if you're Jackro. So many 1 HP units that can be traded out. I wonder if he's going to drop the Panzer 35T without getting off cost. He decides not to. Floats 2 credits.
There's the 0.
Yeah.
Will we see the 0 making an impact in the game here or no? I mean, if this goes to the front line, it's very problematic for
I think dive bombing is a crucial card in dealing with that skill. It allows you to bypass the ambush.
This is the dive bombing in the spec list, I don't know. But usually it would be very, very good, yeah. So, found the infantry unit, 35 feet to the front line. Berto, slowly but surely, running out of pickup. He surely has the second parachute, but what are you going to break the gladiator into? So,
Dropping the card draw, dropping a mini gladiator.
gladiator into PRR.
Putting the parachute down as well, saying if you want to if you want to hit my gladiator, you're gonna have to pay for it. But the raiding brigade waiting in hand there for JKING. Unfortunate, it gives him a great favorable trade there. But now we might see the Zero come out, and how will JKING deal with it? He's using the Sendai.
Very, very nice.
The ping gets a kill though, so gets a unit.
They also have the Sendai regiment. So they like when he's ever finding a Spitfire now, or Wellington picking up the Spitfire. There would be a lot of pressure on JKING.
Yes and no. I mean, he does have the resources that he needs to do it.
Perfect draw. Swordfish
Yeah.
into air superiority can actually help to get rid of whether the Sendai regiment to get your zero back, or just get rid of the raiding brigade. Has to look for Empire Strike. Because I think this is his only option to really come back here. Although I would have preferred to give him the
G83, a lot of pressure, a lot of damage on the field.
Berto has the Type 94 to get a surprise effect out of it, pin it for 1 turn, but I doubt. Oh, the Sonya, but no good synergy. Berto really needs the Empire Strikes as soon as possible, or a Monty. Monty or Empire Strikes. Is he playing Shelling? That's what I'm actually looking for here.
Oh, he's playing Shelling.
He's playing Shelling. So Shelling, Monty, Berto
Shelling,
playing
Monty, Empire Strikes, right?
the 3rd convoy already. Another air superiority, so he can get rid of the key. Deciding to pin it first, so he gets more draw out of it when it's JKING's turn.
Yeah, plays the Swordfish plus an air superiority to get rid of one of the units on the front line.
Decides to go for the raiding brigade because they said it's still 2.
Finds the Empire Strikes
and
there.
there's the Empire Strikes and another Swordfish. But the Shinodo plus Befehlswagen is another 8 damage. And this is a range where Berto does not really like to be in. Like desperate measures, raiding brigade is all the sleeping for JKING. Plus JKING has the 2 Arados in hand. So whenever, even if Berto is able to look at this,
He's
another
gonna-
Empire.
Oh, he finds him in the wrong time, but I mean he can wipe the board with dropping the Swordfish, popping the Empire Strikes, and using the other air superiority.
We can
right?
drop Sonya, Swordfish, Empire
Yeah,
Strikes,
yeah.
air superiority. We can clear the board. But then it's exactly happening what I said. JKING with the double Aradu, there's a very, very high chance, there's a guaranteed chance to find bombing rate or desperate measures out of it. And Ultra.
It's a shenanigan play.
But he also needs
doesn't-
to
yeah.
get a board, right?
He doesn't have enough credits to make that play.
Needs to go at his exact time here. Oh, he already has one bomber on board. Second one. Could have dealt one more. Ah, yeah. So, if he would have deployed one additional bomber, it would have been one more damage to face, but the 0 would have been lost because the support line would have been full.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The
Jake-
double Aradu is gonna find, there it is, the bombing raid or the desperate measures. BERTO knows it. Good game, my friend. And JKING takes the lead 2 games to 1.
Sure.
BURRITO bringing his US frontline deck into JKING's Brit Air deck. And JKING doesn't look like he found the perfect starting hand. I mean, yes, air superiority is good. Having the albacore relatively early is good, but no gladiators, no no bombers.
Not the best starting hand.
So there's no swordfish, there's no gladiators, there's no close air support, there's no kind of early snowball that he can throw out there.
He was also considering keeping the shelling, I guess, but usually I think against US frontline you need to play a little bit more aggressive and fast before they can just drop out their whirlwinds, their half tracks. So JKING really struggling to find the correct
Yes.
mulligan here. Do you
And-
keep the Monty ever?
Looking at the starting hand for BERTO, JKING needs to find some good stuff here. He does not.
It's okay.
109th Combat Engineers, Panzer 35T, Whirlwind in the front line, turn 3. Whirlwind in the front line is the Brit Air killer, right?
We found a swordfish. That is so important.
Massive.
That's also a very good way to get rid of the 109s, because now BERTO's 35T. Look at BERTO's face. He's not, absolutely not happy with that one. He cannot play the 35T and go to the front line because there's no longer an infantry unit on the board. He's not getting the +1 attack from it when going to the front line, so he cannot trade the swordfish efficiently away.
That swordfish draw might have just won the game for JKING. Or at least, like, it gave him a chance in this game. If he does not have that swordfish, and he just has to drop, like, an albacore or something, I think he just loses because of what BERTO is able to do. The fact that he's able to spend turn 3 on getting the whirlwind uncontested into the front line, and then pinning every single bomber and plane that comes out for basically the remainder of the game, that's going to be, it's a tough one to crack.
Now BERTO's in a really, really tough spot here, contesting 2 bombers on the opposing side with only infantry units so far. So even the 35T is only having 2 attacks, so cannot kill one of these bombers. And JKING just wiping the board away with bombers and air superiority. And BERTO just again with an empty board. What can he do here?
I think surely he's looking for the opportunity to play like a 32nd, a Panzer 35T, and then a 99th infantry to buff the
He can do this on
35T.
turn 5. He can do 32nd, 35T, 99, which would take care of one of these bombers. But I also expect this Type 94 to go to the front line. So he also needs to prepare to kill this. Maybe he's just dropping a whirlwind now, operating this, attack one of the bombers. I think this is what we are going to see here. It also just stops JKING from dropping more stuff into this.
I wonder if he almost should have traded the Type 94. Just to make sure that, you know, if JKING is able to trade that whirlwind back, which he is able to, if he attacks with both swordfish and pins it with the albacore, then JKING wouldn't have anything to take the front line. It's the only thing that could have blocked the play. But JKING opts instead of using the Type 94 to trade, and now the half track. So BERTO's you can say trajectory back into this game is now laid in front of him. That was actually pretty huge.
So also JKING making the play here of just keeping his other bombers in hand because he knows that BERTO has the strat bombing in the deck. Not the strat bombing, but the stars and stripes. And this is actually a really annoying card for JKING because he cannot go too wide with his bombers because whenever he does it, there's a risk that there is a very, very high value stars and stripes for BERTO, and this is why he just hold his bombers back here, and yeah, a little bit pressure on BERTO BURRITO's side here, just for that reason. So.
The Hellcat is good, but the question is, do you hold it back until you can use it to proc the Sherman draw? Doesn't look
you
like
still
it.
have the 99. You have two bodies on board now. You trade one bomber away. Sure, your opponent can have the Empire Strikes. Then you would wipe the whole board again, and you cannot get the Sherman draw. But I think this was the correct play here, because JKING is also low on cards, and this means he's probably running out of options. So I definitely see a path here to this phase 2.
Or you dive bombing the Spitfire and take the draw. Looks like that's the route that he's going to go for. Because just establishing the Sherman in the backline is huge.
Wait, he does not give a... He does not care about the Spitfire.
Okay. I mean, that is a higher IQ play than I would be able to do, because I mean, he's
Sitting
getting
at 20
closer.
HP here. Even if JKING has double or triple close air support, it's not lethal yet, but on the other hand, it's also a big amount of damage here. Just reducing his HQ health by a half, leaving him with 10 HP. But maybe BERTO is comfortable that just in case he can still drop the death charges maybe. Deciding to drop to bounce the Spitfire now.
Oh, the Empire Strike's coming out. That does help JKING in clearing the board as we go deeper into this game. He's not playing it this turn. He wants to have more bombers established, but that Sexton is keeping that Sherman pinned, and there's nothing going into the front line. BERTO can't draw, and he's already bounced the Spitfire. No half track.
Also, the Flammpanzer is really useless at the moment, since there's no one drop left on the board, and I think there's no other option. What are BERTO's options here?
He could just go twice into research, right? But he's gonna take 12 damage. If he goes the 3 and 6 credit research, then he can get nukes next turn. But he's on a 2-clock timer with the board from JKING. 2-turn timer.
You can also not go wide here. Like if he's dropping Sherman 109, there's always the risk to either Monty or shelling, and then you still dead.
Monty has been used, but Shelling.
Monty was used. Okay, then it's only shelling there.
Type 94, that's going to pin. It means that only one tank will be able to operate. Only the Flammpanzer will be able to go into the front line. And that's if JKING just decides not to kill the Sherman, right? That's a close air supported Sexton, so it has 4 attack, so it can just take out the Sherman. The Spitfire can take out the Flammpanzer, and all of a sudden there's nothing to move into the front line, there's nothing to do.
First 35 and second option is trade the Flammpanzer away without killing the other four. There is that falling, but there is not doing too much.
That close air support is really wreaking havoc for BERTO right now. Just the Sexton being at 4 attack instead of 3 is pretty big for JKING.
Yeah, whatever he's deploying now, he's just losing it to the Sexton.
That Sexton has kept that Sherman pinned for 3 turns now, and it is paying off massively for JKING.
BERTO is slowly running out of options. He can do depth charges now, but that is just delaying stuff a little bit. He's losing King Sherman maybe with this play, but that game, to be honest, would be kind of a surprise here.
14 damage on the field here for JKING.
Not looking happy at all.
No, I mean, this is the only thing he can It's a combination of Stars and Stripes and Strap On. If he gets that, if he top decks Stars and Stripes next turn, he might have a chance.
Yeah, the problem with his orders are that JKING is also running Ultra, so whenever JKING is floating credits, BERTO also has to play around Ultra. And
I mean, at this point, he doesn't have a. doesn't even have an
another
option, right?
Sherman, and that's it.
It's the 4th Sherman. That's gonna be
JKING
it.
having 12 damage on board. He can do death charges, so he's
Yeah.
not dead yet, but it's also not helping him.
I guess you strap bomb and do depth charges, because if you
You need to do it in that order. You
Yes.
cannot do it otherwise, because then you use your research and then you need to play around Ultra. So strap bombing first, death charges, JKING finding the convoy, giving him even more options now. And BERTO, I'm not even sure what BERTO can find here. 1,000 stripes is also not good enough. At this point, will not kill the 0.
yeah, exactly, right. The 0 playing a huge role here, because the 0 plus the Wellington is gonna end the game. Half track, not gonna be enough. Nothing to blitz the front line. Nothing to get the draws. Medical battalion, Sherman, half track. None of this is gonna change the outcome of this game. And JKING7, the reigning world champion, secures himself into the grand final game from the winner's bracket, undefeated so far. If he was looking to show that he is a legitimate world champion,